Mark Monakoski in the Toronto Sun writes, Trudeau Liberals will surely tax your home's capital gains. He writes, it was in the late summer of 2019 when I broke the story of then Liberal MP Adam Vaughan sniffing out the idea of taxing the capital gains earned when you sell your home. He vehemently denied it, of course, although he finally had to admit the idea came from a blue skying of possible new policies. Strangely, anyone who sold their home that year was questioned on their income tax as to how much they paid for their home, plus the year, as well as how much they sold it for. Face it, when the CRA suddenly wants these details about the largest investment most Canadians will ever make, one's stomach tends to roll over, and the sphincter muscles tend to tighten. Then the Conservatives started tweeting out their concern about this, and now 2 years later, it's closer to becoming a reality. In fact, the Conservatives are saying, and Mark Monakoski is saying to the Liberals, if you don't plan to tax capital gains on the sale of homes, why are you paying for studies into this possibility? The government has funded a study by the group Generation Squeeze to look into housing policy in Canada. In the study, it makes the policy proposal of taxing homes worth over $1 million. Well, that's virtually every house in Vancouver, Toronto, and many in Ottawa. The tax grab of all tax grabs. Joining me to talk about this is Todd C Slater, host of Simply Real Estate. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
This is going to make housing more expensive, isn't it?
Oh, boy. You know what? They are really going down a steep hill with this one. If they think for 1 second, and you know, I'll go back for a second and say, CMHC, who do they work for? And what are they supposed to do? And I'm sorry, they're now looking into the taxation for people to see what we can do with people with capital gains on their primary residence. I didn't know that that was what they were supposed to be doing, you know, and so this is where I think they're again, Liberal government will be going into the deep end. Because the big part of this is that if they start taxing properties over $1 million, here's what's going to happen. The sellers are now going to increase the price so they do not bear that cost. And then there's going to be a group of them that are going to say, okay, we're not going to sell right now, which is then going to lower the inventory, which we already have a problem here in the province and in the country. And now all of a sudden, what is that going to do? It's going to even drive the pricing further. It's an end-sum game. They are not going to win on this one, other than pissing a lot of people off.
Well, what do you mean they won't win on this one? If they pass it, they pass it, and who knows? They could get reelected.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think anybody in their right mind should reelect somebody that's going to turn around and tax your primary residence. And for some of these...
Nobody said it was people in their right mind who elected Trudeau in the first place.
Well, that's a good point. But, you know, you got to look at the voter base and say, okay, do you guys want to lose some of your hard-earned money if you've owned a property for 30 years? Sorry, it went up. That's reality. So we're going to start taxing people that are going to be focusing on their money for their retirement. Because a lot of people that are selling, you know, million-plus homes, not every one of them is going back into the marketplace. What they're doing is they're going to take that money, and that's some of the stuff they're going to live on. So, you know, the government's going to be going down, like I said, a slippery slope here. What they're going to do is they're going to increase the price of houses if they do this. And this is where, you know what, everybody should be up in arms with this. Everybody's complaining about the house prices. Well, look at, you put this into place and you're going to blow it out of the roof here. We're going to see prices go up 20% if they do this.
All right, I'm talking to Todd C Slater. He's the host of Simply Real Estate, Sundays at noon on News Talk 1010. And Mark Monakoski insists, with all the studies and everything they're doing, he says that the Trudeau Liberals will surely tax your home's capital gains. Now, Todd, as your occupation, you own rental property. If you sell rental property and experience a capital gain, I am assuming you're taxed on that.
Yeah, of course. And that's the cost of business. And we are a business that anticipates this if we're going to be selling any rental properties. But when you take a look at the average Canadian and their only wealth is truly in their primary residence, why are you screwing with their future? And, you know, one of the things that the government's got to watch out for is the fact that there's also the trickle-down economy. You know, a lot of that money is going to the next generation. So this is part of what they're missing the plot. And if they turn around and put this into place, then I honestly think that this government should be doomed.
Some people are writing in saying something about putting your home into some sort of trust or having somebody inherit it. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, okay, so you can do a family trust, but one of the things is that a lot of banks do not like to give a mortgage to a house if it's in a trust. So there's a lot of things that you do have to be careful with. So it does happen. People will put assets into a family trust. You know, we do take a look at inheritance tax. One of the things that if people are taking a look at this, you know, it's and here's the problem. It's just the anticipation that we're always going to pass it down to the kids. Well, the money itself is what we should be passing down to the kids, not necessarily saddling them with your own residence. Not a lot of kids want to own their mom and dad's house. You know, they grew up there. They don't want to go back. So would they like the money from the house? Of course they would. So this is one of the things that, yeah, a trust, you can do it, but again, if there's a mortgage on the property, a lot of the lenders don't like it.
All right, we're talking about it seems stronger and stronger possibility that a tax on your capital gains on a sale of your primary residence could come from the Liberals. They have shown no sign of backing away from this. In fact, they keep studying it and edging closer and closer to it. That's what we're talking about here. Now, somebody wrote in, and Todd, I think this is true. If you think you're going to tax me on my capital gains, then I should be able to write off all of my home expenses over the years against my house.
You know what? And it's a great point. You know, that listener makes a great point with that. And the thing is that they won't let you. You know, they're not allowing us to write off our interest unless it's an investment property. So that's the kind of thing that, you know, okay, you want to take from one, then we'll take it from the other. But again, this government is so lost, I think, on this entire thing. You know, they haven't been able to solve the housing issue. And I know you and I talk about this all the time, Jerry, about inventory being the biggest issue, but it is. And you know what? By implementing this, it's going to increase the prices, going to lower the inventory, which is even going to make it worse. They're not coming up with any viable solutions other than putting some money in their greedy pockets. And they need to, you know, have a wake-up call here and say, this is not the way we're going to solve any housing crisis. There's a lot more things that can be done.
I'm going to read you a text that is challenging you here.
Okay.
Houses can't be used for retirement, or else prices can never come down on real estate. How is he not understanding this?
Houses can't be used for retirement. That's an interesting comment. So, you know, if you take a look at somebody that's paid off their house and the values have gone up and they sell their property, how can they not take that money and then be able to spread it out the rest of their lives? So money is being used for retirement, not the house. Now, there are reverse mortgages, and it's not really the best thing to do because there are, you know, big fees and there's only a certain percentage you can unlock. So this is what people will do. And I mean, it's happening all over the world where people will turn around, sell that main asset, downsize, maybe rent. They'll go into an outer market, you know, something a little bit smaller. I mean, how many people do we know that turn around and say, you know, upon retirement, we're selling the primary house, going to buy a little place down in Florida and keep a little rental property here in Canada? It happens all the time. How do you think that gets funded? From the equity that they got from their home.
All right, we're also being challenged. Well, there's no tax. Where is the tax? We're warning that it is coming. In 3 years, several years since Adam Vaughan blurted it out, this has not gone away, and they refuse to just say, look, we're canceling the studies. This is not going to happen. They just kind of dance around it.
They're spending taxpayers' money on a study. Why would they be doing that? Just to put a smile on their face, or to get people ready and understand the implication of it and figure out how much money they can take from Canadians? That's why they do it. They're not doing it just for, you know, fun and games. They're doing it because they're really putting some thought, and it's been circling around this party way too much.
All right, here's the thing that. Anyone who sold their home the year that the Liberals got into this in 2019 was questioned by the CRA about the details. And I think Mark Bonikoski is right. When the CRA wants information on what you sold, that's a completely different thing than if Stats Canada wants that information.
Exactly. And that's because they're trying to document where the increase is and what is possible for taxation. Same reason why the Liberal government decided to fund the CRA more, to chase down the people that were doing assignments. They're going to do the same thing here.
All right. Todd C Slater is with you on Sundays at noon on News Talk 1010 with Simply Real Estate. Todd, good to have you. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Jerry.